So, Mr. Hamish, please start your presentation.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for the introduction. Welcome to the University of Melbourne, and thank you very much for having me today and speaking with you. So today I'd like to take you through a little bit about the University of Melbourne, the programs that we offer. I'd like to also talk to you about Melbourne itself, the education system, our accommodation, and of course, how to apply. There'll be plenty of time at the end to ask questions, so I hope that the information that I provide you stimulates a little bit of creative thought as we move through. So a lot of people don't realise that when you think of education, when you think of high quality education, a lot of people tend to think about innovation that comes out of universities like the United States of America or the UK. So your Ivy League and your Russell Group universities. Often Australia gets overlooked, and Australia has actually implemented a system to ensure that the quality of education that we deliver to international students meets a high standard. So we can guarantee that the quality of education that the universities in Australia deliver meets that standard. It needs to go through a rigorous process, and as a result, we see some graduates around the world that have actually, developed innovations that have changed the way we live, things that we use every single day, billions of people around the world rely on. For example, Wi-Fi is an innovation that was delivered through Australia as a result of our strong education system here. Ultrasound, something that's used in hospital systems around the world on a daily basis, is another example of some of the innovation that's come out of a strong education system. The aviation industry relies on black box flight recorders, something that is mandatory in all aviation around the world. And again, something that's actually developed through the strong education and innovation in the Australian education system. And lastly, something that might surprise you, something we use a lot, Google Maps. The technology that Google Maps is based on was actually developed in Australia before it was sold on to Google, and it has become what you now know as Google Maps, and we often rely on every single day. So I'll talk to you a little bit about the University of Melbourne. So the University of Melbourne is currently ranked across many rankings as Australia's #1 university in Australia. We're currently ranked 31 in the world through Times Higher Education World University Rankings 2021. We actually went up one ranking 2 days ago from 32 to 31. So we're very proud to be able to say that we stand in the esteem of some of the world's most highly ranked universities. Against the US, the US ranks us, the US News actually ranks the University of Melbourne as 26, so against some of its top universities. So we're very proud to be able to stand again in the esteem of those Ivy League universities. The University of Melbourne actually has a history of excellence in producing 9 Nobel Prize laureates and Australia's first female Prime Minister. Our students don't find it difficult to find work. They're very well prepared when they graduate. In fact, 98% of our postgraduate students and 97% of our undergraduate students are currently in employment post-graduation. And it's reflected in our global employability rankings, where we're currently ranked #7 by QS Graduate Employability Rankings. The University of Melbourne is Australia's second oldest university. It's one of the sandstone universities in Australia. We currently have well over 50,000 students currently studying with us, mainly located on our Parkville campus in Melbourne. So that's our main campus. About half of our students, just a little bit under half of our students, are international students. So we have a very good balance between local Australian or domestic students and students from overseas, which really adds to enriching the experience that students have when they come to Australia or come to the University of Melbourne to study. We currently have 82 undergraduate students from Japan studying with us, and a total of 165 Japanese students with us. So when you come to Australia, when you come to study at the University of Melbourne, there is a really good cohort, strong cohort of Japanese students. So if you would like to meet up with some students from home, you can do that through some of the clubs and student societies that our Japanese students have set up. Melbourne University is very lucky to be situated in the City of Melbourne. The City of Melbourne has consistently been ranked as one of the world's most livable cities, one of the world's most student-friendly cities, and one of the world's safest cities. So we're very blessed to be situated in a city that is ranked so highly, not from people in Australia, but from our visitors, from our students, from the tourists that come and visit us here. So we're very lucky to be situated in a city that does attract such high praise from its visitors. It's a very multicultural city. It's Australia's most multicultural city. We have citizens from well over 200 countries, and the citizens that make up Melbourne, about half of those citizens are actually people who have migrated to Melbourne. So it's a really multicultural, cosmopolitan city, and it shows in the culture, in the food, and in a lot of the arts and sports that you can do in Melbourne. We have a very extensive public transport network as well. It's very easy to get around Melbourne, which means it's very easy to explore Melbourne when you're not studying. It's very easy to get back and get to your class as well. So there's never an excuse to be late for class. But the university itself is actually serviced by trains, soon to be a train, trams, buses that go right to our doorstep. So we're very lucky there as well. So this is the City of Melbourne. Melbourne is on Port Phillip Bay, so it's a bayside city. You can see the high rise there in the centre of Melbourne. The university is located to the north of the city. We're right on the doorstep of the city, so this is our campus. We're about a 10-minute to 15-minute walk from the centre of Melbourne, which means we're right in the middle of the city. So after you've finished your studies or on a weekend, if you've got some time off, it's very easy to go into the centre of Melbourne and meet up with your friends, go to a bar, enjoy a coffee, or try one of the restaurants that we have in Melbourne. It's a very it's a very sort of French-esque type al fresco restaurant cafe scene in Melbourne. So there's lots of little alleyways and little streets that you can go down and find new cafes and new bars and new places to eat. So it's a lot of fun just exploring and finding new places to go to with your friends. So you might see on the left of screen is our South Bank campus. So our Parkville campus is our main campus. That's the campus where most of our students study. But for those students who study fine arts, so music, drama, TV, film and television, they'll be studying at our South Bank campus. And our South Bank campus is situated where it is because that is the heart of Melbourne's culture and arts district. It's right beside our National Gallery. It's right beside our National Studios. So we want students to be able to immerse themselves in that environment and utilise some of those facilities that are on hand for our students studying those particular programs. Now, what do our students get up to? I'd just like to show you a quick video, which is our students moving through Melbourne and some scenes of our students on campus, just to give you an idea on what it might be like to study in Melbourne and attend the campus.
I'll see you soon. It's funny how so many things can happen in an hour. And everything can change and be turned upside down. Now we need to get used to it and pull it together. Before we get ahead of ourselves, ahead of ourselves, ahead of ourselves. It's funny when we look back and what we remember makes us smile. That's how we got that way finally. No, it took us a while. It's wonderful. Now that the colors of the world seem brighter, now all the troubles on our shoulders somehow feel a little bit lighter. And it's wonderful how now everything seems to flow. How I feel a little bit warmer, even if the ground was covered in snow. Sun has splashed our glass of joy into the stories that will come, and we're making something sweet into our lives.
Well, I hope that gave you a good overview of what you might expect in Melbourne, what Melbourne looks like, what our campus looks like as well. Our campus does have a lot of old buildings. As I said, we are the second oldest campus in Australia. However, we invest heavily in new infrastructure. So we have a lot of brand new buildings that are available for our students, brand new study spaces, accommodation spaces. So we're very, very well equipped, and we can ensure that all of our students have the latest equipment when they come to study with us. Oops. So the University of Melbourne is structured slightly different to some other universities in Australia in that we don't offer double degrees and we don't offer bachelor-length degrees into professional pathways. What we do is we offer a Melbourne curriculum, which is a bachelor degree that leads into a master level degree in order to get your accreditation or professional pathway into a professional career. So although we don't have a Bachelor of Engineering, you can be an engineer at the University of Melbourne. It's a very, very clear pathway. You can be a doctor, you can be a physiotherapist, you can be a lawmaker, a lawyer. All of those pathways are available. You can be a vet. We have those here. So students would join the University of Melbourne through one of two pathways. So if you're studying at a local high school in Japan, you would enter through our foundation pathway. Now, I think most of you will be studying IB at an IB school, an international school, and will gain direct access to the university through our second pathway, which is through an international school. So you would qualify for direct entry into our degrees, and we'll talk about the entry requirements for you later on in the program. So students would start with their undergraduate degree. In Australia, they're 3-year bachelor degrees before you move into either a graduate program to complete your professional pathway into a career, or you could move directly into a career, or you could move into research, which some students choose to do as well. So the undergraduate degrees that we offer are here. So we offer 6 core bachelor degrees and 3 specialist bachelor degrees. And these degrees allow you to move into well over 100 different areas of study and as pathways into professional careers. So for example, if you wanted to be a medical doctor, you could choose the Bachelor of Biomedicine or the Bachelor of Science. Both of them are pathways to becoming a medical doctor or a physiotherapist or a dentist. If you are considering a career in law, you want to be a lawyer, you could choose any one of these degrees to move into law. So you complete your 3-year bachelor degree before you move into your law component and specialise as a lawyer. So an example of this is, so this is an example of how the University of Melbourne is structured. So we believe that the flexibility that this structure gives students prepares them very well and enables them to be able to change pathways if they find that they're not suited to a particular initial pathway that they choose, and it allows them to change very easily through to a different pathway partway through their degree. You're not locked into a 5-year bachelor degree or a 4-year bachelor degree in architecture, for example. However, the example we have here is if a student would like to study, say, something like architecture or dental surgery or engineering or law, you take your 3-year bachelor degree before you progress through to your master level study, which is anywhere between 2 years and 4 years, depending on where you're heading, which professional career pathway you're moving into. So if you were to study architecture, it's 5 years at the University of Melbourne. If you want to be a medical doctor, it's 7 years at the University of Melbourne before you move into a hospital as an internship. Similarly, you can study psychology, teaching, veterinary medicine. These are only examples. There are many, many more pathways into professional careers that you can take at the University of Melbourne. You know, there's education pathways. There's pathways into IT, many different areas of engineering, to mention some. So some of the benefits of this that we feel is beneficial is that students take their 3-year bachelor degree, and at the end of the 3-year bachelor degree, they will have taken a major in the area that they're going to progress on into with their master degree. So if you find that you don't like it, you're not suited to it, or you've had a change of heart and you'd like to move in a different professional career direction, after that 3 years, it allows you to graduate with a bachelor degree and change your pathway into a different master level education. So you're not locked into any particular program. You also will graduate with 2 degrees. So if you're looking to be a teacher, you'll have a 3-year bachelor degree. You'll graduate with a bachelor degree. You will also graduate with a Master of Teaching degree, so a 2-year degree. So you, a master level degree is very marketable if you're competing against other students that only have a bachelor level study. Quite often it demands a higher starting salary. It's marketable globally. A master's degree is recognised globally as well. So there are some sort of benefits to that. So the flexibility and of course having 2 degrees on graduation, one of those degrees being a master level degree. So how do you get into the University of Melbourne? So for IB students, we accept direct entry. So we have guaranteed entry requirements for students who study IB, international students studying IB. So for example, if a student was wanting to study medicine, biomedicine, you'd need a 38 IB final score and you'd be guaranteed a place at the University of Melbourne. It's that easy. You do need to make sure that you meet our prerequisite subject requirements. So English is mandatory for all study. You can either do that through your IB or you can take an English language test like an IELTS test. There are other mathematics requirements for some programs, chemistry for biomedicine, science, you might need physics or a chemistry or a biology, and business or a commerce degree and mathematics. So if you don't meet the English requirement or you don't study English in your IB, you can take an IELTS, which you need a 6.5 overall. Another way that you could do English, so if you don't quite meet the IELTS requirement, we do have a bridging program for students. So you can do a 10-week bridging program before you start your bachelor degree to meet that English requirement. So how do you apply for the University of Melbourne? You've had a look through our programs, you've decided that you've found one that you like and you would like to study, but how do you apply? The application process at Australian universities and at the University of Melbourne is very, very simple. We don't make it overly complex. So after you've found your degree, you can apply directly or through an overseas representative like ICC. ICC has been one of our representatives for many years, and they can assist you with the application process. So you will apply with your IB results. So you will upload a copy of your predicted results or your final IB results, and that is all that we need. We need to see your final IB score, and we need to see the subjects that you've studied to see that you've met the prerequisites. The reason for that is we know that students who meet our minimum entry requirements will be able to succeed at the University of Melbourne. We don't need reference letters from you. We don't need personal statements, which can often be arbitrary. We don't need resumes or CVs. We use a very academic, merit-based entry system. So something that is measurable and can be used across the board with all applicants. So we know that students who meet our minimum requirements with IB will be able to succeed. Not to say that you won't be challenged, not to say that it won't be hard. So university is supposed to be challenging. You're moving it into a new level of education. So we do expect that you will be challenged, but we have a number of support services for you at the university, so don't worry. But it is a very, very simple application process. We have a number of scholarships that are available to international students as well. So our scholarships are merit-based, so they're based on your grades. So for a student applying with an IB diploma, if you have high grades, 40, 41 plus, you may be eligible to receive a scholarship from the University of Melbourne. And the best thing is there's no separate application. We make this very easy as well. Because it's just based on your grades, we don't need you to apply. We'll assess you automatically when we assess your application for the bachelor degree that you're looking to start with us. So if you have good grades, you might get an offer for your bachelor degree along with an offer for a scholarship at the University of Melbourne. Our scholarships are fee remission scholarships, so they're a reduction of your overall fees, and you don't need to pay this back. So this is a gift to you to reduce your fees and make it easier for you to be able to study overseas at the University of Melbourne. So it's not a scheme where you need to repay your scholarship. This is a gift to you if you receive one based on your grades. There are some that you may need to apply for though. So scholarships for living costs, accommodation, maybe sports. If you're an elite athlete, you do need to apply for some of those scholarships. And the website is on screen at the moment if you'd be interested in to have a look at those scholarships and have a look at the requirements for those scholarships. But academically, we will assess you automatically. So you've decided to move to Melbourne, and you also need to consider where you're going to live, so your accommodation. The University of Melbourne has a number of different accommodation options available to our students. We're very pleased to announce that we've just finished building some brand new accommodation complexes, and now we can offer every single bachelor student a bed or accommodation if they apply for it through the University of Melbourne. So we have enough accommodation that every single bachelor student who studies with us from overseas will receive accommodation through the University of Melbourne if you apply. So there's some pictures there of some of the accommodation options that we have available to students. So the ones that the university operate are residential colleges and student apartments. So residential colleges are the most expensive option, but they're the most comprehensive option. These options provide you with a bed, so your private room with study desk, wardrobe. An example of a residential college is down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And these ones also provide additional services. So they're staffed. There will be staff looking after our students. They provide tutorial services. They have dedicated study spaces and libraries, computer facilities for our staff, our students as well. They also provide you with 3 meals per day. So you get your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner provided as part of the fees. They may have gyms and recreational areas. They put on a lot of activities to help students meet friends or play a sport or do an arts-based activity that you enjoy. It could be music, or there's lots of clubs as well. There's lots of opportunities in colleges as well to perhaps get some work experience. So they like to provide opportunities to help students grow and develop their skills ready for when they move out into the workforce. So they're the two types of accommodation. Student apartments are self-sustained, so you don't get the 3 meals per day. You need to cook your own meals. So you can have a single student apartment, or you can have a share arrangement where you'll have your own bedroom, but you'll share with 1 or 2 other students your common areas, so your lounge room and your kitchen area. So the bottom left-hand corner is an example of one of our new student apartments. So that's, that's one of our residential colleges. I haven't got one of the student apartments, but they are like a little mini apartment that students would reside in. The other options, homestay, student hostel, are usually short-term options for students before they arrange something a little bit more permanent. And share housing is the cheapest option, and usually students who've been at the university for a few years or a year and have met some friends would move into a share housing option to share a house and share the costs of renting a house with some friends. That's a great way to become a little bit more independent. This slide here is just an example of the cost of living in Melbourne. So public transport, around 22 Australian dollars per week. Your course fees, depending on the program that you choose, range from anywhere between 30,000 to 60,000 Australian dollars per year. So again, it just depends on the degree that you're applying for. Lastly, I'd like to quickly talk about some recent student testimonials. So for IB students studying at the University of Melbourne, we have a large number of IB students applying to the University of Melbourne from Japan, and our agent ICC facilitate a number of those applications to the university. So this year we've had a number of IB students be successful for the Bachelor of Science, also Bachelor of Design and the Bachelor of Arts as well. And one of our students who has received a place at the university has been successful in gaining the Japanese Student Services Organisation scholarship for undergraduate studies. So big congratulations to that student as well. So we'll go back to how you might like to apply. You can apply directly to the university, but ICC is one of our official representatives in Japan. So ICC has an agreement with the university to apply for study at the university on students' behalf. So they can consult with you about the courses that we offer. They can help you with your application. So we provide them with resources and training to ensure that they're able to offer you a high level of service when consulting with regards to our programs. So it's not just about the consulting, about the programs, it's also about a seamless application experience for you as a student. They have direct access to the university as well, so they can follow up on your application and assist you with anything that they might need to. So also with accommodation, they can assist you with that, applying for student visas, your overseas health cover, makes it very easy for you. So the QR code is here on the screen if you would like to take a screenshot or take a shot of that with your phone. That's all from me today. So thank you very much for your time. I hope I have sort of given you a little bit more information about the University of Melbourne, about Melbourne itself. And if you have any other questions, I will be here at the end of the session, and you're more than welcome to ask me any questions about our programs or about Melbourne or about our study at the University of Melbourne or any of the options that we have. So thank you very much. I'll hand my slideshow back.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hamish. I've received some questions from participants, so can I ask some of those questions now?
Of course. Happy to.
So I have two questions, and the first question, in the US, most students have to go back to Japan because of this pandemic, and is your university going to do the same way, or are they stay at the university?
Students are, if they're in Australia, they do have the option to stay in Australia, or students can choose through their own free will to go back to Japan. So it's up to the students. We are offering online study at the moment, so students who have decided to go back home overseas can still continue their study through online modes. We have shut down the campus at the moment, and we're hoping to reopen the campus for semester 1 2021, but that's going to be up to the Australian government whether they allow students to come back, and it also obviously depend on the virus. So we're keeping that we're monitoring that at the moment, but have a very clear plan for students to transition back in 2021. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is for mathematics, IB math. Which subject will be requirement, analysis or application?
Yes, so for our maths requirement, that's a good question. So students are required to take mathematics, and we require both mathematics for entry into our program. So and applications and analysis is what we require, and we also require, actually I'll give you the specifics, sorry, I'm just bringing it up. So you need a minimum grade of 4 in either applications and interpretations HL, analysis and approaches SL, or analysis and approaches HL. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Hamis, thank you very much.